The Meeples and Miniatures podcast is sponsored by Two Fat Lardies and also by the very generous donations of you, the listener. A special shout out goes to Marcus Wheeler, Frank Reynolds, Glenn Oberhauser, David Jakowsin, Alex McIntosh, Tobias Whiting and Keith Erickson. Thank you all for your most generous support. The Meeples and Miniatures podcast, episode 173. Miniature Wargaming, the movie, with hosts Neil Shuck and Mike Whitaker, and guest Joe Piddington. This show was recorded on the 29th of June, 2016. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Meeples and Miniatures podcast. I'm Neil Shuck and I'm
not Mike Hobbs.
I'm joined on this show by Mike Whitaker, indeed. Hello, Mike.
I see the paid hit woman worked.
Aha, Moriarty, it was you.
Your check's in the post, Annie.
Yes, unfortunately, though due to appear on this show, Mr. Hobbs has been laid low. And is therefore missing from this particular episode.
Starring as Sir not appearing on this show.
Indeed. Yes.
Along with Sir painting the walls at a guess.
Yes. Sir also not appearing on the show, because, yes, Mr. Luff has not replied to his emails or text messages, so I don't know what I've done to upset him. But having said that...
he's probably forgotten it's Wednesday.
At this point in time, I suppose he'll come back and go, I've got a business to run. There you go.
We'll let him off. We love him, really.
Yeah, we'll let him off, really. I mean, after having a record 5 hosts on the last show, this time around, you're going to have to put up with just the two of us.
Well, it might only be 2/5 the length.
Well, there is a slightly added bonus in that, indeed. So what have you got in store for you on this show? Well, funny enough, we thought, especially considering, we want to put this out at as near to the start of the month as possible, and we're recording this on the 29th of June, so, don't want to edit too much of it, don't want to put too much editing in, especially since Mike can't help me out, because you're just about to disappear off to the States, aren't you?
I'm afraid I am, yes. 4 o'clock Saturday morning, some nice man in a car comes to take us to Heathrow.
Indeed, but the bonus of that is off the back of that. And of course, we still don't believe that he didn't plan this in advance. But you're going to
my wife doesn't believe I didn't plan it in advance, but I didn't.
Personally, I'm with your wife. You're going to Williamsburg, aren't you?
I'm going to Williamsburg, which is only about 90 minutes down the road from Fredericksburg.
And what's happening in Fredericksburg?
Well, starting on the 15th, which is the day before we fly back, there's a little thing called Historicon.
And you've wrangled the day at Historicon?
I have spousal permission to go for a day, mostly by convincing her there are enough tourist attractions to keep her and James amused.
Superb. So,
although that said, having married a gamer, she did say she might decide to come round and watch anyway.
So, if you're listening to this and you're due to go to Historicon
on the Friday.
Okay.
Look for the big, tall, grey-haired bloke in the Peterborough War Games Club bright blue hoodie.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah, yes, he will be difficult to miss.
Yeah. Thanks for that, I think. And that's only because Neil hasn't got the Meeples shirts done yet.
Indeed. Yeah, quite remiss. But yes. So if you happen to be, if you're listening to this and you're a listener and you happen to be going to Historicon on the Friday, please go up to Mike and say hello.
I suppose it's too late for some business cards, isn't it?
What, for Saturday morning? We really didn't think this through, did we?
No, we didn't. We didn't. There was a planning fail here somewhere.
Never mind. Yes, so all being well, you never know. I'm kind of coming back expecting a roving report from Fredericksburg. Then, your man.
Better find the microphone for the iPhone, then, hadn't I?
Might be an idea. Yes, I'm most disappointed that you're the first one to get to go to an international war games conference and you don't come back with a report.
Oh, I'm sure I'll manage something.
It'll definitely be Paddington hard stare times.
Ooh, I'm scared now.
And we've just
which?
And by the way, we've just won the cricket.
Yay! Unsurprisingly.
Yes. Yes.
I'm just about to comment on that. You can tell where our priorities are today.
Indeed, yes. Right. Okay. So, what's coming? So before I got distracted by tales of foreign wargaming, what we've got in store, as I say, so there's just the two of us. So we're going to do a really quick catch up with what we've been doing. Now, originally in this show, we were going to cover a load of hobby news, and actually, I think what we'll do is that we'll wait to next time round, and we'll cover it all when we're all kind of back together. Instead, we'll cover what we've been up to, and I mean there'll be little bits of hobby news in that, I'm sure. We've also got, surprise, surprise, a longer interview than what we originally thought.
No comment. Actually, blow that comment. Neil said, "Nah, it'll only be 45 minutes."
Yeah. We had a chance to speak to Joe Piddington, who is the director of Miniature Wargaming, the movie. I bumped into him earlier in the year, and especially with the fact that they've just launched a Kickstarter, we thought it would be an opportune time to actually get a chance to have him on the show. So we did, and we had a really good chat with him. We've got that coming up for you in a short while.
And great fun it was too. You will enjoy.
Indeed.
You will probably spend money. Well, we hope you do anyway.
What's the phrase again? Yes. Sorry. Yes. As per normal, this podcast comes with a wealth warning. Yeah, it can seriously affect your wallet. So on that note, we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll be catching up with a little bit with what we've been doing, and just maybe mentioning an odd news item.
I don't like it, Sergeant. Me neither, sir. Good Lord, it's really looking pretty bad. Yes, sir. It happens every time, sir. It's too predictable, sir. How far do you think we've advanced, Sergeant? 6 inches, sir. It's always 6 inches. We advance 6 inches, then Jerry gets a go. The lads are calling it Hi-Go Hugo, sir. Hi-Go Hugo? Good grief. And they don't like it, sir. Oh, not like it? Seems pretty straightforward to me. Rather like cricket. We have an innings, then the other chap does. Well, that's all very well, sir, cricket, sir, but begging your pardon, it ain't like that, sir, in war. I don't think Mr. Hitler plays like that. What, Hitler? No, gosh, he'd like to go all the time. Oh, Lord, sir, lummy. Well, sir, anyway, sir, it's like this, sir. If it carries on like this, Hi-Go Hugo, me and the lads won't be coming to your Thursday evening games club, and that's the way it is, sir. Looking for more of a challenge with your World War II games? Are you tired of the predictability of Hi-Go Hugo systems? Iron Bean Shopman provides real command challenges on an unpredictable battlefield. Two fat lardies, playing the period and not the rules since 2002. Pip pip.
What have we been playing? What have we been buying? We might even have painted something. The Meeples and Miniatures crew reveal all. So, Mr. Whitaker, it's just the two of us.
It is indeed.
So what have we been up to then?
Me? Painting more Realm of Battle boards.
The never-ending saga of Realm of Battle boards, which appears to be spreading.
Yes, I was about to say, well, Clarky, what are you doing? It's all Jim Ibbetson's fault. That board he had at Operation Market London 4 was absolutely sweet. And
as I say, if you didn't know, you wouldn't have recognised it.
No, you wouldn't.
No.
Absolutely not. And I'd already got one by then. It was just incredibly inspiring from a point of view of painting it and flocking it, and mine has come out completely differently to his. I'm well pleased with mine, and I'm curious to see what Rich is going to do with his. It's also interesting to see people's different approaches to filling the skull pits.
Indeed.
I used filler, and actually I'm going to go and raid the gravel outside and stick some rocks on a couple of them on top of the filler, just to give it a slight raised bit with a rocky outcrop.
Yeah.
Rich poured neat PVA into it, as far as I can tell. So yeah, that's been one of the predominant things I've been doing. I've bought some roads from Total Battle Miniatures.
Oh yeah, these are the nice big chunky ones, aren't they?
Yes, no. They're the flexible latex ones.
Yes.
That go down to razor thin at the edges, so you can put them on something like a Realm of Battle board, and they won't look like they're sitting on top of the board quite so much. I'm just debating. The straight roads come in 2-foot lengths, so I'm kind of debating whether I'm going to take one each of the wide and narrow ones and slice them in half and see if I can't sort of feather the ends off, so I've got roads that disappear into terrain at both ends.
Yeah.
And then work out how to retexture them to make that work. I'll give that some thought. It's been a week for picking up little odds and sods, like some steel paper for lining my really useful boxes.
Aha.
Because I've got, in fact, sitting right here, I have here some very nice war bases, sabot bases for my Peninsular forces, which are basically 1p sized holes, but with an extra hole drilled in for a little magnet.
Oh, so cool!
You put the magnet on. You put the magnet in the hole. You put the figure on a penny, on a post 1993 penny, as I'm sure I've said many times, on top, and the magnet.
And you do have to make sure it's post 1993.
Yes, because they changed the alloy, and the alloy after 1993 is magnetic. And then, because you've now got 8 magnets on the movement tray, line your box with steel paper, drop the magnet on the movement tray, you'll probably be able to turn the box upside down and not have the fingers fall out.
Although for my next trick, would you really want to do that?
No, I wouldn't. Not after these are going off to Matt's mate Gareth for painting when I get back off holiday. The only thing that's stopping at the moment is I'm waiting for Ruben from PE2 Collectibles to find me a box of Victrix British Artillery so I can do the whole lot in one box.
Oh, cool.
And what else? Oh, some very helpful person on my blog, when I was bemoaning the fact that shading rocks with Army Painter dip is a bit expensive on the dip, pointed out to me the existence of Vallejo sepia tone dip in 200ml bottles.
Yes, they do some nice big bottles, and it's
only £7.
Yes,
from everybody's friend Arcane Scenery on eBay. So yeah, there's a box of that just dropped through the letterbox with a fairly ear-splitting thud. And I think that was it, actually. What have I done also? Played some Kings of War. Mm-hmm. We have the next round of our campaign at the club. And not last, but not first.
Mid-table mediocrity, is that what you're trying to say?
Mid-table mediocrity, better than England. I feel the need to point out that I do have Iceland in the company sweepstake.
I did kind of get at that's what you were hinting at,
which I was pleasantly amused by. But yes, thank you to Michael Blair, who was the person who pointed out to me the utility of Vallejo dip in big quantities. Since I have, at some point in the foreseeable future, since I backed the printable scenery Kickstarter, I'm going to have an awful lot of 3D printed stonework to paint.
Ah, yes.
The great advantage, of course, of 3D printing it is you can do it on demand. So when the guys from when we decide that we need something, I can say, well, we'll have 3 of those, one of those, stick them on the print bed, come back tomorrow, paint it. It's kind of the point of this.
Yes, on my new 3D printer.
Yeah. Somebody had to. We should probably, get the guys from Printable Scenery on the show at some point. I suspect that might be quite interesting.
Indeed, we should. Yes, especially since we now have somebody who technically knows exactly what they're on about because he's got one. Yeah.
Absolutely. Although, having said that, it's still sitting here in its box.
No, surely not.
One of the things I need is to get Tim the Builder to come and refit this little office with more desking, as I currently have nowhere to put it.
I can understand it with figures. A 3D printer, still in the box? What?
No, there's not much point. It's hit the point. There is not much point in getting it out of the box before I go on holiday. So it might
there is that, I suppose.
Stay in the box and out of the way of the cats and everything else for now.
Yeah.
So.
No, yes, there is that. I appreciate that.
Yes, that's about it. I think I've just about hit the point where I'm now at the A, have no money to spend, and B, have nothing to spend it on anyway for a while. So,
right. Okay. Yes.
Once I get back off holiday, there'll probably be more terrain building. Waiting for Gareth to come back with some painted figures and some more Ducks Brit playtesting.
Cool.
Shout out to Derek Hodge of Derek's Wee Toys, who's been running with both the Stag Hunt scenario and will be, as soon as I send him the other one we ran at OML4 with his players, which is quite nice because he's got a Northern British Army with cavalry. And it's always quite interesting to see how the addition of slightly faster-moving GGs breaks scenarios which boil down to catch this before it gets to the end of the table.
Yes.
And interestingly, it appears the answer to this is that, much like my players, his players got too embroiled in having a fight and forgot the objective.
Objective? No, we're having far too much fun.
Yes, it was. He doesn't have a stag, so apparently they were chasing the dun cow or something. But either way, it's coming on. I'm hoping to take my laptop on holiday and get a bit more work done on that and on Secret Project C, which has been paused for rather too long. Mostly because my last holiday, I wound up doing things other than sitting in front of a computer writing stuff. And frankly, I need a sitting in front of computer writing stuff break now.
Yes.
It's not going to be a very active holiday, I don't think. I'm due a not. But anyway, that's pretty much me, I think.
Cool.
I don't think anything else that we've done of interest. Planned a lot of podcasts.
Indeed, we did. Yes, we had a big. We had a big podcast planning session and basically filled our diary till Christmas.
Yeah, very much so.
Which
hoping that James's T20 games are not on Wednesdays because they haven't got a scorer if they are.
Which, considering the fact that actually having gone through that planning session, the show that we recorded tonight wasn't on the schedule.
No,
just kind of proves just how much use that schedule actually is.
It's only because Homsky's not here.
Yes.
Keep our feet to the fire and us on the straight and narrow.
That's it. Yeah, I know. Yes, planning meeting. First opportunity. Off we go on our own.
No plan survives contact with the enemy, or the guests, or
the
hobby news, or anything else. So,
indeed,
what have you been up to?
Well, I've had a fairly, I think the phrase is eclectic couple of weeks. Okay, from a gaming point of view, I missed a Whitaker game, and then what did we do? Oh, last week we decided to have a game of Saga because we thought that we thought that with the fact that
in what scale?
28s, mate.
Had to ask.
Oh yeah,
given some of the things you've been posting late.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. 28mm. Now this is off the back of the fact that Per Broden, hello Per, came up to us at Salute and asked myself and Dave whether we wouldn't mind helping him out with a project of running 6mm Saga games at Joy of 6, which is in the middle of July. Now, because we talked about doing Saga in 6mm several years ago now, but I think that basically gave Per a bit of a nugget of an idea, and he's kind of gone away and ran with it. And he's run with it, and he's just produced masses of Saga warbands in 6mm.
Standard Saga table is 3x3, isn't it?
No, a standard Saga table is 3x4. I mean, essentially, all he's done is basically turned around and gone, okay, rather than one base being one figure, one base is multiple figures. But the units of your warband stay exactly the same. So basically,
So you're saying basically same ground scale?
Yes.
For all that, the Saga ground scale is very stylized.
Yes. And it becomes something a bit more of a mass battle game, but it's all done in 6mm. So, but that's just a general idea. It's been a while since we played. I actually looked it up, and we played it. Last time we played Saga, as far as both of us remember, was a Saga day that we went to in Wyvern Wargamers, which we reckon was either 3 or 4 years ago. It's definitely 3 years ago.
No, there is a Saga tournament at Hereward. You can always come play it at Hereward.
Yeah, possibly. Although, I mean, having said that, I suspect we might be a bit busy.
You think?
Yeah, possibly. But no, it's been a while. So we thought, hang on a second, we better kind of familiarise ourselves with the rules again. And so we did. And, it's one of those things that you suddenly go back to, and despite the fact that we just basically did, we didn't do anything crazy. We just kind of like, put some figures on the table and moved and had a battle. I mean, very little scenery or anything like that. Just for this one, just to kind of get us back into the mechanics and stuff. But it did remind us both just how much we liked the game.
It's one of those beer and pretzels games, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very really enjoyed it. And so
I mean, it's not for the historical purist.
No,
but any more than Tanks is. Let's not go there.
Let's step away from that one, shall we, Mr. Whitaker?
But it is a fun little game. It's a great way of killing 2 hours down the club. GB have nailed it. GB and Tomahawk have nailed it from a point of view of just keeping the stuff coming without feeling like they're milking a cash cow, unlike some other companies I could mention.
Indeed. And so off the back of that, at the weekend, I then went up into the spare room and had a delve around, and managed to find out all my Saga books, and I found out all the Saga figures that I currently had planned. Well, the Dark Age ones, anyway. Yeah, we'll step away from the medievals in a moment. I'll come back to that at a later date. So, if you've been reading the blog at the start of the week, you'll have seen that pile of plastic and lead that I've got. It's primarily plastics, but I've got like 3 boxes of Norman Knights still. Because I suddenly remember the Conquest Norman Knights, which are very nice. They are really, really nice.
They are just wonderful. I've got about 2 cavalry hordes of my Kings of War army made up of those.
Yeah, they're fab. I suddenly discovered that why, as Normans, I hate playing Vikings due to a couple of rather annoying abilities they have. Because Normans basically they're it's cavalry and bow, and essentially Vikings can, to a certain extent, negate your bow fire, which means that I need a lot more cavalry. So I had to delve around and got a load. So, the future is potentially full of building Norman Knights, and I thought, while that's it, I've actually got enough stuff to make up a small Viking warband, so I thought I'll make those up and introduce Josh to the joys of Saga.
Sounds awesome. Conquest do metals as well.
Yes, I do. They are very nice.
Range.
Yeah. Yes. I have been. I've been looking at that.
If we're doing a news section on this show, you really do want to look at their Norman men at arms in cloaks that have just come out literally in the last 3 days.
Oh, right! I haven't seen those.
They are, to use a trademark me phrase, really, really, really pretty.
Ooh, I should go and have a look at those then. Ooh, that sounds good. Yeah, we played a bit of Saga. Something completely off the beaten track. I got sent a copy of Poseidon's Warriors to review from Osprey, which is
whoa.
Yeah, Poseidon's Warriors. It's their latest War Games rule set. It's ancient war galleys. It's war galleys, big fleet battles. Okay.
Woo.
So we're looking at, so basically we're looking at anything from, say, Peloponnesian Wars through Punic Wars up to, I think the last thing it basically covers is around about Actium. That's all there. Okay. So, thought, this looks quite interesting. Of course, I haven't got anything naval other than Uncharted Seas. So I thought, how on earth am I going to playtest these? And it's designed with 1/1200th Langtons in mind, which are very, very nice, but considering
eye-wateringly expensive,
can be, even a 1/1200th War Galley is like £2.50, which is fine. But when you want to put together a fleet game to kind of playtest it, and you don't want to drop £80.
You know what you need? You know what you need, don't you?
What? The
3D
3D printer. Boom, boom.
In all seriousness, that's the kind of thing, because they are not figure sculpts, so there's not a lot of overhang and there's not a lot of really nitty-gritty detail. That's the kind of thing that's perfect, like in the same way that spaceships are, or tanks. It's the kind of thing that's perfect for 3D printing.
Anyway, I went down a slightly alternative route, and I was looking at some. Can I get hold of some paper ones? So I found some on. I think it's something called Junior General, because they do all sorts of paper stuff, and that they look quite good. But I thought, but they were primarily 1/300 scale. They were a bit big, and then I found some very nice looking stuff from a company called Tiny Tin Troops. And they do some fleets covering Peloponnesian Wars, Punic Wars, and then there's some Roman Civil War stuff as well. And these are top down, and these are 1/600 scale top down views of war galleys. Now they're printed on A5 sheet, 160 milligram paper. You can pick up, basically they do like a Punic War fleet, which is it's 38, 40 ships, Romans and Carthaginians, 4 or 5.
Job done.
So got those. Went out. Went to my local. Was it the Range or whatever it was? Bought a pack of fiberboard, foam core. And so I spent the last couple of evenings basically putting these ships onto cut foam board pieces, colouring the edges, painting the edges, because with the best will in the world, I'm looking down at a war galley and I'm looking, how do I tell what's Roman, how do I tell what's Carthaginian?
You paint the edges of one lot red and the other lot blue.
Got it in one. So funny enough, that's exactly, and so for the price of, so basically for a tenner.
So for a tenner and 2 bits of A4 foam board at about £2 each.
Yeah.
You've some paint and some glue
and some paint and some glue. You've got these lovely little counters for playing ancient war galleys. Job done. Great stuff. Oh. So that's something a bit different. So yeah, I'll be working on those. Not a lot of other painting done. My 6mm shot practice army is still kind of stalled. And then
God, admit it, you've lost it down in the cracks in the carpet.
No, I can put my hands in it straight away. It's just behind me. But yes, it was. I must admit, I did this week. I did look at it and kind of go, do I paint my 6mm French army or do I put my war galleys together? And the war galleys won.
Fair enough.
Which, considering I was doing it while listening to the England game, it was probably it was probably a good idea.
I was playing Kings of War during the England game, which I think was a far much better thing to be doing.
Quite probably. And then the other thing was, on last Saturday, I took a trip down to Battlefield Hobbies.
Ooh.
Which is a new, relatively new game centre. It opened in November down in Daventry. I mean, it's only half an hour's drive down from Leicester, something like that. It's just off junction 18, just off junction 18 of the M1. And I'd seen them around at a couple of. I think I saw them around at the UK Games Expo and completely failed to go up and have a chat with them. So I thought, I'll tell you what, I'll just take a trip out, because I had the morning free. I thought I'll take a trip out and go and have a look, because it's not far away. And I had a fantastic chat with them. Met up with Jack, the store manager.
Which you recorded, of course.
No, we're going back to do a proper recording. No. One thing I did was actually go back because the guys who actually own the business weren't there. So we are arranging to actually go back and do a proper interview with them. But I'd say I just went down to check it out and kind of see what it's like. Really, really impressed with the setup. Nice little shop. Very little Games Workshop inside.
These are the guys who did the Kickstarter, aren't they?
What to actually set the shop up? Yes, they were.
Ooh.
Yeah, they were.
Definitely want to talk to them.
Really impressive setup. I mean, these guys, their day job is they're an event company.
Ah.
So, if nothing else, they know how to set things up. So
You'd hope so, wouldn't you?
Yes. So, they've got a lovely little storefront, which, they got, as you'd expect from any game store, they have a lot of, game systems in. And, they bought out bought out Stafford Games, so that they got all so they're a huge Flames of War distributor.
Well, they actually bought that, right? Because Stafford were at the point where they were selling off loads of.
Yes.
They were basically shifting Flames of War stock, shifting the last of their Napoleon at War stock and a few other things, weren't they?
Yes, basically they bought them lock, stock and barrel.
Ah, right.
So that's where they went in the end. Because the guys who owned Battlefield, New Roland from Stafford Games, so that's where they went.
Right. That makes sense.
But basically, the idea behind it is that it's a hobby store and it's an event centre. Now they've got a gaming area, just like a standard gaming area, which you can trot up, pay money to play games. You can get a bottomless cup of tea for £2.
I'm there. You know me and tea.
Oh, too right. Yeah. No. It's a really nice little setup, and they got things like, you can hire a locker for a year for £30 in store. So basically, if it's a regular place and you're going to be playing various things there, you can just hire a locker for the year and leave some stuff
really
there
smart.
and stuff like that. Yeah, they got some really nice little ideas like that. But they then out the back, they have this. Well, basically, it's it's on an industrial estate. It's an industrial unit. Okay.
Yeah.
So, I posted up some pictures. There's going to be a post as we recorded this. There's a post going up tomorrow with some pictures from their website. Admittedly, their pictures look better because when I went, there was a forklift in the middle of it, and a load of pallets and various other bits and pieces from some of the things they were doing. They're holding the National Flames of War tournament there this year. They're holding the National Malifaux tournament there this year because they have a really big gaming area. And when they set it all out, crikey, I don't know in footage. I'll have to go back and have a look, but it's a small warehouse.
We're talking sort of Maelstrom size, are we, or bigger?
Probably a bit bigger. Put it this way. We've kind of discussed in very nebulous terms the whole thing of doing a Meeples gaming day.
Yes.
I think I've just found a venue. And that's they have two areas. They have a small area and then a big area. And the small area, which is a little raised area, you can probably, in the small area, you could probably easily get a dozen. It's about, the small area is about the size of one Wargamers place.
Oh, upstairs at our club. Sounds about that size, yeah.
Yeah,
okay,
it's
fair enough.
Yeah. Downstairs, it's bigger. So on the upstairs, you'll probably get about, a dozen tables in. The downstairs, you'll get lots. Cater events for 70, 80 people, I'd have thought, sort of thing. And they're also willing to do things like, if you do that, they'll kind of arrange the day, arrange for catering and loads of other bits and pieces. So had a really good couple of days down there.
Basically, it's what, sounds like it's what, I've just mentioned the name and a blank.
Maelstrom
did before it went down the tubes.
Yes. Although they do a lot of mainstream games, so they're big on things like bolt action, things like Guild Ball, Frostgrave, War Machine. They also do some other stuff. I mean, and as I mentioned, actually one of the reasons I kind of popped down was that in their shop they stock Lardy products. Ooh, yeah. And it was like, oh, okay. So let's have a wander down. And it's like I was in the shop and got a chatting with a guy. And before you know it, I'm talking to a chap about playing duck split with 20mm plastics. Which is interesting. So yeah, I mean, no, I was really impressed with the place, and they got a decent hobby section as well. So picked up some new paintbrushes and what have you. All being well, we shall have an interview with them in the non too distant future. But they are well worth checking out. It's Battlefield Hobbies. They're in Daventry. I'll put a link on the show notes. Store manager Jack, friendly chap. Lovely, I wish them all the best. I mean, as I say, they've only been going 6 months, but they deserve to do well. It looks like a really good venue,
and they're only 80 minutes drive from me. Indeed,
and considering whilst I would love to go down to Firestorm every week,
absolutely.
I mean, it's fine for Hobbs. Well, basically, it's as far for me to go to Battlefield as it is for Hobbs to go to Firestorm. So,
I mean, for you, it's just pointing the nose down the M1, isn't it?
It is. As I say, 25 minutes.
For those of you whose geography of England is as bad as mine was till I just looked at Google Maps, we're talking 10 miles west of Northampton, just off the M1.
Yeah, it's about a 7 or 8 minutes drive off junction 18 of the M1.
Yep.
Dead easy to find.
Even coming from Peterborough.
Yeah.
Like it's straight down the A63, A43, pick up the A14, and then just off you go.
Yeah,
looks awesome.
Yeah, so had a really good time there, and I mean they do gaming nights on Wednesday. They got a club night on like Wednesday evenings, and then they do all day gaming Saturdays.
So do they actually run their own wargame club, or do they just let one of the local clubs hire out?
I think it's a local club at the moment.
Cool.
But yeah, they do all day gaming on Saturdays. So I'm thinking, considering if Luffy's busy and I haven't got room in my house to set up a gaming table, it could be a great place to go and play games for a day. Yeah. So yeah, good stuff. Yeah, so that's me.
Fab.
I think. I don't think I've done anything else at the moment. No. One other thing. I've just succumbed and bought Age of the Wolf. Back to Saga. So all being well.
Yes, there's a copy sitting here.
Yes. All being well. That should arrive in time for tomorrow. So looking forward to that.
Fab.
Okay. So that's me done.
Anybody else? Oh no! Wait.
Wait. There isn't anybody else. it's just us, mate. Okay. I
thought I'd been missing some pithy insinuations in a Welsh accent. Or the voice of reason.
Indeed. Yeah, what are they going down there for? Right. Okay, we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll have a few things to chat about in the news. Announcements, new releases, Kickstarters. What's caught our eye? It's time to catch up with the Meeples and Miniatures Hobby News. So let's very quickly look at a couple of news items, shall we?
Yeah. As previously mentioned, those lovely folks from Conquest Games have been popping out some more of their Robin Hood range. I don't know if folks have not been paying attention to these. They started off with their Norman plastics that fought on their horse, and they've drifted across quite cleverly, I think, into a range that are clearly intended to be ties into a certain well-known hooded man.
That was my favourite TV show.
Yours and mine both, mate. Yours and mine both. And I know the wife has a thing for Michael Praed.
What she likes mullets.
But they've just added to the range a set of, as I said earlier, a set of cloaked Norman infantry, which are very, very nice. They've got them on the front page.
Ooh, yes. and they've even painted them in the correct colour scheme.
And Neil's just found them.
Yes.
So they've got someone to do a lovely paint job on those, and the shields are right, and just yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and some with crossbows as well.
Yes. Halberds.
Big spiky pole arms.
Yeah, but certainly the swordsman, spearmen, and crossbows are bang on, aren't they?
Just. And if you haven't seen up till now, their character figures for Gisborne and the Sheriff are a bit good as well.
I mentioned these a while ago on my Twitter feed, and someone came back and said, "I think some of the initial sculpts were a little on the small side." That is just from what some people mentioned to me. But even so, yes, these are definitely on my shopping list.
If you want a different looking Saga Norman force.
Yeah, a different Norman force and a different, or failing that, a couple of war bands for open combat.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Yes, everybody's there.
They come as I think all Conquest things do. The foot come in threes, so you'll need to juggle around a bit, but they're rather nice.
They do look nice.
I've always had a soft spot for Conquest ever since those plastic Normans came out. So
they're
that's nice. Conquest.
Indeed. Interesting one. Deep Cut Studios. We are fans of their gaming mats. Hobbsy especially. But they recently have been producing some scenery to go on their 2D scenery to go on their mats. Now, up until this point, they've primarily been releasing kind of, roads and rivers because they're kind of flat, and fit in. But this week they just released some new terrain, which are basically top downs of trees and rough ground and some swamps and so they produced a fully 2D top down scenery pack.
Now, if you're of the mind to play tanks, for example, with the original scenery in the box, which is all 2D top down, this might be quite a fun addition.
Yeah, that's good point. I actually hadn't thought of that. And especially with the, it goes well with the 2D roads and what have you. I mean, the roads and rivers I can understand a little bit more in 2D. But having said that, I mean, I've previously said that this whole thing about, if you start looking at things like playing Blucher, for example, with the cards.
Yes.
Or, there was the whole Battleground Fantasy Warfare where you had, 2D units and stuff like that. Yeah, back in the day. Yeah. Lots of these effectively two-dimensional war games. It's cheap as chip scenery. And of course, the biggest thing with scenery, as we all know, the worst problem with scenery is storage.
Oh, yeah.
And here you are, you got a forest which you can use and roll up. I mean, it's produced on mouse map material. I think it's 2mm mouse map material, and this stuff is they produce a really good high quality product. And I think for each of their scenery packs, it's about £20.
Yeah, our deep cut stuff, we actually went for the cloth rather than the mouse mat.
Yeah. I think
because when you've got storage space issues we've got at the club, every little helps.
Yeah, I think the actual scenery, I think at the moment is only available in mouse map material.
Yeah, it makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah,
you want it to be a little bit not floaty away.
Yeah, but it does look really good, and it's a reasonable price, and especially for if you are restricted in space. But actually want some decent looking scenery. Yeah. Go check it out.
We have been going on a bit about gaming in just 2D, what with your galleys.
Yes.
However, moving up into the third dimension, but sticking with terrain tiles, those nice folks from Sally Forth are at it again.
Oh, yes.
With some shopping mall blocks in 28mm, which I think look as though they're designed to be modular.
Mm-hmm.
And they look like, what's the classic thing to put in a shopping mall? A zombie game.
A zombie game.
How many zombie games have we got to choose from that could stand to have some nice 3D scenery? Bleep loads.
Indeed. Yes.
It's Sally Forth, so it looks good.
Yeah, it's the expansion of their existing.
But blocks and stuff.
Yeah, they're like terrain blocks, right? I forget. It's got a particular name, which I must admit I forgot off the top of my head. But it's an extension of that style of range that they've been doing, and they look really interesting. They basically produced a set last month, which was like the edge of the mall, and the one they produced this month is the interior. So it's like the interior shops as opposed to the ones that are actually on the edge of the mall, sort of thing.
And as if by magic, what do we discover? They're also plugging on their website Project Z.
Project Z. Oh, shocking indeed, Homer. Yes.
Who'd have thought it?
Who'd have think? Indeed.
We have a release date for Halo Ground Command.
Yes. 27th of July. 20th of July to trade, 27th of July to the general public.
Lovely.
Yes.
Oh, and we should also probably mention very briefly, for those of us into American War of Independence, some Richard Ansell sculpts for Crann Tara Miniatures.
Oh, wow, okay.
Who are doing some Hessians.
Mm.
So if you are of the Sharp Practice 2 or other persuasion, or just want to do some vignettes from Sleepy Hollow or something, they've got some Hessians coming out.
Oh, cool.
Which,
and actually, while we're on the same subject of AWI, I think I saw quite recently as well that Trident Designs 40. I mean, it's 40 mil. I like Trident Designs back in the day. They do 40 mil, but they do a very nice range of 40 mil AWI. But I believe they're moving into French Indian War.
Oh, I know some people will be quite taken with that.
They've been getting some more releases into AWI recently. So yeah, they might be worth a look as well.
And there you have it.
Indeed, a very quick whistle stop through some hobby news. We shall be back
with much drooling as usual.
As usual, we shall be back with an expanded hobby news in the next show,
and a mailbag, maybe.
Okay, so...
But we should also remind folks there's still a competition.
Indeed there is. Yes, we have a competition, and we will give you some details. Stay tuned. We haven't done one of these for a while. It's competition time. Those lovely people at Pen and Sword have very kindly asked if you wanted to run a competition. Over to Mr. Whitaker for the details.
Indeed. So, as Neil says, those lovely folks from Pen and Sword, who also donated a prize to the Combat Stress raffle for Operation Market Larden, which raised a rather juicy £271 before gift aid, have given you lucky listeners, 3 lucky listeners, the choice of one each of a number of books from the Images of War series by Anthony Tucker-Jones. We have Special The Panther Tank, Special Tiger 1 and Tiger 2, Special T-34, Battle for the Crimea, Eastern Front Air War, Battle for Kharkov, Armoured Warfare in Normandy, Armoured Warfare from the Riviera to the Rhine. So 3 lucky winners will each get a choice of one of those. And we have a question for you.
Hang on one second. What is more, they will be signed copies.
Oh, yes, we did mention that, didn't we? They will be signed copies.
Signed by the author, indeed.
As not by Ocelot, signed by the author.
No, yes. This is signed by the author. And funnily enough, those prizes are somewhat appropriate to a topic of conversation we're going to have. Yes.
Indeed. So, the competition, the question. All 4 of the regular Meeples presenters, which is to say myself, Mr. Hobbs, Luffy, and Neil, have fully painted, ready to deploy chain of command forces. Name us one of each of ours. I want to know which army list, not just, it's Germans.
Right. Okay.
You're not obliged to tell us which scale.
I was going to say, I think I know 2, but that's about it. Right, okay, so the competition is going to run for, what was I going to say, a month?
End of July?
End of July.
End of July, yes, okay, so the competition is going to be run to the end of July. Please email your entries in to competition@meeplesandminiatures.co.uk. Okay, so that's competition@meeplesandminiatures.co.uk. Please entitle it Pen and Sword Competition. Okay, so that's Pen and Sword Competition, and put your answers in there, and then we will do a random draw of all the people who got it right. And that will be in the show that is published on, that'll be the show that, we'll publish it either in the show notes or we'll record it and add it into the show that's due out. Probably actually be the 15th of July now, won't it? No, 15th of August.
So, and the question once again is, all 4 of our presenters own at least one painted chain of command force. Name one from each presenter. Trawling people's blogs is a highly recommended process.
If that doesn't up our blog traffic, nothing will.
If that doesn't improve our page views, God knows what will.
Yeah, indeed. Good luck with that, and don't forget, closing date for that is the 31st of July. Have you ever wondered what's going on in wargaming? We do too. So come with us as we go behind the hobby with the Meeples and Miniatures interview. We're very pleased to welcome to the Meeples and Miniatures podcast, Joe Piddington. Hello, Joe. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you.
Good stuff. Welcome to the show, mate.
Thank you.
For those of you who have not heard the name Joe Piddington, he's actually been on the show before, because he's actually on the Salute show. We caught up with him for about 10 minutes at Salute while we were doing kind of similar media sort of things during the day. So Joe is a filmmaker. He's also the director of Miniature Wargaming, the movie, which hopefully you have seen something about on social media, on the web, or on our website. And we thought it'd be a really good idea to get Joe onto the show and basically find out all about it, especially since they currently have a Kickstarter, which has been running for 2 days as we're recording this, 3 days. Sunday it went live, didn't it?
Yeah.
Was it Sunday?
Yes, yeah. It officially went live on Sunday, so yes.
Yes. So I thought it would be an ideal opportunity to find out all about it, find out how everything's gone, and say catch up with all the latest news. But first off, Joe, as we do with all our guests, the first thing we do is find out a little bit about you, and especially what your gaming history is like. So I suppose the first question in all this is that, you're a filmmaker. Are you actually a gamer?
Yes, I am. I have been playing with toy soldiers for, almost, probably 16 years now. So, yeah.
Right. So how'd you get into the hobby then?
I can't exactly remember how I got properly involved, but my earliest recollection is kind of being in a games workshop somehow, or in a model shop. I don't actually think it was a games workshop, the first one that I ever bought. I think it was just a store that sold Games Workshop, and I think it was probably because my eldest brother at the time, they were quite into Scalextrics. Right. So I think it was just a shop that also kind of carried, multiple different hobbies and things like that. So, that was the first recollection that I have. And I remember getting a starter set. This was a GW brand, but it was one that came, I think it might have been second edition. I can remember it came with some Space Marines and some Orcs. Yeah, so I remember having that one starter set and putting it together, not even having a clue what it was. I just liked the models, put them together, and I have two older brothers, and my the middle, because I'm the youngest actually in the family. I know I kind of abused him for a long, long time until he would play with me. But up to that point, it was just Playmobil. That's what I grew up on. We never really had Lego. It was more Playmobil. So that was it. And what I enjoyed most about it was putting little kind of, I guess, dioramas or little scenes together and spending hours just putting them together, and sat in the living room and then, getting my parents to come in to look at them. And after about them seeing it for 5 minutes, it would all get ripped down and then put back in the boxes. So yeah, that was kind of where it kind of went into Games Workshop, and just kind of putting together little boards and just lining up the little soldiers and telling a little story. So it was never actually playing the game when I first started.
Right.
It was more getting the models and then attempted to paint them like they were, on the boxes, and realising that why didn't it look as good as...
Yes. Yeah, that age-old issue, yeah.
Hey, mine still don't, so...
So... Even at that age, the creative side of things was a bit more towards the diorama filmmaking sort of thing, as opposed to playing with toy soldiers.
Yeah, I guess so. I always get told I was always a creative person. I don't see it myself. I just do what I enjoy doing, and it just so happens that it's making films now. So, along the way, I've done lots of different creative things. But yeah, that's kind of where my hobby started.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until probably 5 years after that I got into it heavily, and it was more the painting side that was always for me.
Right.
We never really, where I lived at the time was quite remote, so we didn't really have a Games Workshop or anything like that. So it was, you get set, and I didn't really know anyone that played it for the longest time. And obviously for me, it was kind of the closest shop was probably an hour and a half's drive, and at the time I'm still 11 years old, getting into, just started secondary school. So it was, I didn't really, and at the time I was very heavily into sports as well. So kind of, obviously it was there was still a stigma there that, obviously growing up, it was, you're trying to fit in and be cool. And I was quite athletic as well at school. So that was kind of, I was never very good at the educational side of school, we should say. It was more always either the creative or kind of sports and things like that. But yeah, and it wasn't until I was probably about 16 where I found that actually the school, or 14, 15, and I found that the school that we were going to actually had a gaming club.
Right.
That they did, that actually one of my friends now started. And that's how we met, was through, and I ended up going to the gaming club. And yeah, it was, what really got me into it though was the Lord of the Rings coming out. That was what really did it for me and got me really, really invested into miniatures and putting together these trying to recreate what I saw in the films, and buying huge amount of Urukai and elves and just trying to recreate what I saw on the, and then I found that there was a group, and kind of even up to that point I'd tried to play a few games, but for me it was always a bit too, I guess, complicated, and getting my head around Warhammer and Warhammer 40,000 at a young age wasn't the easiest thing, especially when you don't have anyone that knows what they're doing. It's kind of, you're teaching yourself from trying to read a little bit out of the books. So that's kind of where my hobby started. And it wasn't, like I said, when I was about 14, 15, when I got heavily into the gaming side of it. And then, Lord of the Rings, as soon as I had other people that were interested and knew the rules, they taught me. That's when I got really heavily invested into it.
Right. Okay, so dare I ask the question, what's your biggest army?
My biggest army? Probably now is my bolt action army. I've got over the last couple of years, I've got very, very heavy back into it.
Okay.
And that's one of the reasons why the film has actually come out. But at the moment, bolt action, I've got a big German army. I probably have about 300 infantry and about, 18 vehicles. That's just for my German army. And then I play a few other different games. I've got into Age of Sigmar, so I've just started getting the Stormcast Eternals. Mm-hmm. I'm into the Batman Miniatures game.
Oh, right, yeah.
I actually played that for the first time at Salute 2 years ago, and I've always been a big comic book fan anyway, so when they came out, I just loved the miniatures. And for me, my hobby is I'm more of the painting side. I always have been, but I do very much so, and Bolt Action has really got me back into playing. And actually before Bolt Action, I'd never attended a tournament, I'd never played that sort of side, and then Bolt Action came along and I got very, very heavily invested into it. So yeah, and that's kind of where the early starts of the film started.
Right, okay. And finally, you're saying you're a big Bolt Action player. Is there any other games that you're playing at the moment?
Like I said, I've got into Age of Sigmar. Unfortunately, I've only been able to play one of the demo games actually when it got released, and that was when I was filming and I saw somebody was demoing it, so I had to go, and yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. And I just love the new Stormcast Eternals, so I've invested a little bit in getting an army for that, and would like to play a bit more of that when I have time. And that, and Lord of the Rings I've still got all my Lord of the Rings. I used to actually also collect Warhammer, and I had a big Empire army, and I've got that somewhere. Right. I haven't played Warhammer for about, I'd say, 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people don't like what happened in the whole GW and killing off the world, but for me, I'm quite happy with the new Age of Sigmar. Obviously, because I don't have much time, especially at the moment, to actually get games in. So Age of Sigmar is kind of ideal. You know, if you've got kind of 20 minutes spare, you can still have a little game. So that's kind of why I like it. And to me, it is more of a beer and pretzels game. So
yeah, I think one of the things that seems very obvious is that if you're coming at Age of Sigmar in isolation, you probably have a whole different reaction to it than if you've just effectively had your toys taken away from the 40k tournament scene, say.
Fantasy, mate. Age of Sigmar fantasy, not 40k.
Fantasy, yeah. We'll have a fantasy tournament scene.
I told you, as I say, I told you we didn't do this. This is why Kings of War is popular, mate.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's but I think that's everything miniature-wise that I'm into now, so...
Board games?
Board games, yes.
Sorry, I'm a one-man crusade to remind Neil that we're also a board games podcast.
Yes, board games heavily. Yeah, I am actually. A close friend of mine started kind of a Friday night games night about 2 years ago now. And it actually started because it probably started about 4 years ago, really, but it wasn't every week. And we started playing D&D, and I'd never played D&D.
Oh, wow.
A group of friends of us kind of got together, and actually it's going to sound very sad of us. There was about 6 of us who went away on holiday, and we ended up spending most of our time indoors playing D&D. Because none of us...
That sounds perfectly fine to me.
I'm not having a problem with this.
Yeah, because none of us had ever played it. And we kind of got into it and forgot that we were away on holiday. And
my last holiday in Germany, we walked into the apartment and went, right, can we actually fit the Firefly board game on that table? And it stayed up all week.
Yeah, so we got into D&D, and then, like I said, my friend started about 2 years ago. Every Friday we did games night, and that is heavily board games. And he's a bit of he's one of those people that always every week has a new board game. So
I know, I was that soldier. Yeah.
I'm just trying to think. Some of my favourite ones that I've played is I'm a big fan of Avalon, right. As much as it's caused huge rifts in friendship groups sometimes. Yes, a big fan of that. Cash and Guns.
That's a good laugh.
Very, very good laugh. I'm just trying to think what else. Dogs of War. Big fan of that one as well.
Oh, I've not actually played that one.
Yes, very, very, very good. Very. I like the tactical side of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a host.
Absolutely, yeah.
I could list. Like I said, he probably has a collection of 50 games that we play. And we'll try to play a couple in the evenings. Unfortunately, I've been so busy recently, I haven't been able to go around to play, but I know when I do get time, I'll go back and there'll be a host of new ones, so that's always nice.
Good stuff. So, as we've already mentioned, your current profession is as a filmmaker.
Yes.
So how did you get into filmmaking?
I've always kind of made films, even when I was young. I remember stealing my parents' old tape recorder and trying to make little stop motions. And this is, I'm really, really young when this is when I was still playing with Playmobil.
All right.
And it was this big kind of... It's a step up from a Super 8 camera. Barely record. It was meant to record sound, but didn't. It was very, very bad. But kind of from there, then when I went to school, it was one of the only things that I kind of enjoyed on it. Academic kind of what was the normal structure, and I chose to do it actually when we went into GCSE, and I did media studies,
right?
And I enjoyed it so much, but my issue with it was the academic side, and actually my gradings for it weren't great because I didn't do very, very well on the written side. And then when I decided to go back and do A-levels, and I decided to do film, so I did that for a year, and then I actually dropped out. But I very, very early on started making YouTube channels.
Oh, okay.
I actually showed somebody one of my first ever uploads to a YouTube channel, and it was 2006. This was dated, so right. 10 years ago now. So, and yeah, it's just kind of always been it's always been there. And a few years ago, I started the YouTube channels that I was doing kind of grew, and I was very, very lucky that people noticed. I started getting a lot of views, and then I started getting asked by YouTube if I could help other channels, and then other people were reaching out to me. So that's kind of where it started. But alongside this, I never intended to, I didn't leave school and say I'm going to make films. It's always been there. And actually why I was making films was for my other business at the time. And kind of the video side of the business grew massively compared to the business was successful, but it got to a point that I was doing it for about 6 years, and I wasn't happy with what I was doing. So I decided to make a change, and the YouTube thing just was there. I could see that I could make some money from it at the time. So I started just developing that, and was very, very lucky that actually some very, very good friends of mine have worked in the film and TV industry for many, many, many years. And I actually was staying with a friend up in London, and he worked for the BBC. Right. And I ended up going, and I was there for about, I think it was two to 3 weeks. And he was working the whole time I was there, but he was self-employed, but he was employed by the BBC. Everything that he did and it was for actually the Russell Howard Show. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. Yeah. And he used to work with...
That's the BBC 2 one, yeah?
Yes. Yeah. And before that, he used to work with Russell Brand on Channel 4.
Oh, okay.
So, and basically, I was sat, and he lived with a screenwriter, and I was sat there, and I was obviously doing the YouTube thing, and he was doing this, and I just thought, I was just so intrigued with that side of it. And yeah, just being around that was when I made the decision that this is what I'm going to do. So I tried. And luckily I was, I had support, and I started putting some stuff out, and I did a few little independent things with other people. And then I did a few wedding videos and stuff like that. And then I decided, you know what, I want to do something proper.
Yeah.
And this is when kind of the film came along. And the whole film came along was through a friend of mine that's actually Matt, who's working on the film as well. Matt Colorado, he's a photographer. Right. He's been doing it for years, went to university, got his degree in it, worked with cameras ever since. And he basically approached me and said, Joe, I want to get into more video side of it. And he said, I really, really want to get into documentaries, and knew that I've had a passion for documentaries and obviously all that side of it. And at the time I was trying to grow my channel, and I was producing documentary style videos for the channel. Mm-hmm. And he just said, look, I want some advice. And so I gave him some advice, and I said, what are you making? What are you going to do a documentary on? And he said, I haven't got a clue. So, and actually at the time I was Warlord Games were they do a yearly thing where they host and people can come and see the facilities, and they were running a painting competition.
Right.
And I said to Matt, I said, well, you can use my channel. If you make a 10-minute documentary, I'll be the main subject, you film it, and I'm going to this event, this painting thing, just document that. And so I ended up reaching out to Chris Adcock, who is a family friend of mine, and he's a pro painter.
Yeah.
And basically just said, look, I'm entering this thing. We're going to film it. Have you got any advice, any tips for, what I should be doing for the more painting side? And he gave me some advice, and he said, that sounds like a good little idea. He said, have you spoken to anyone else about it? And I said, no, it's not really my project. It's just, I'm helping a friend out, blah, blah, and explained. And he said, well, why don't you're going to have to contact Warlord anyway. And I knew that from my background anyway. So we contacted them, and they were very, very interested. And they said, yeah, that sounds great. And then Chris also said, well, because he's very, very good friends with the Perry brothers. And he said, well, why don't you contact Michael and Alan and see if maybe, you could get a little bit of an interview in the documentary as well. And I spoke to Matt, and that would be a great idea. And then Warlord Games, they cancelled the event. So kind of the film got dropped, or the idea did, because there was nothing there. And Matt, up to that point, Matt had realised that it had gone a little bit bigger than he thought, and he kind of said to me, look, I'm not going to have time for this to make it worthwhile. Would you be interested in doing, taking over? Because at this point we'd spoken to Warlord, we'd spoken to the Perrys, we had Chris involved, so we had a few names involved.
Yeah.
And I kind of thought about it, and at the time I knew I wanted to produce my first feature that was my first standalone feature. I thought about it for probably 3 weeks, and in this time I did a lot of research into the industry and also seeing what other people had produced, and it just kind of all came together, and I thought, you know what, there's definitely something needs to be done here. And obviously I'm a hobbyist anyway, so for me, I've always, for a long time, for the last 5-6 years, I've been heavily into documentaries anyway. Yeah. It's been one of those things where I've always waited and wanted for somebody to produce, like, I can't wait until they, show me how miniatures are made and, do a documentary on this hobby. And then Lego released a documentary as well around the same sort of time. And I just, it was just one of those things. And I thought, there's definitely something here. So I decided that I would, make a few phone calls and spoke to a few producer friends of mine, and we looked at getting a little bit of funding for it. And I was quite lucky, and I got a little bit of funding, and it started off as this, small little idea, and it's just grown. And I just started approaching people, and I said, look, this is my idea. This is what I want to do. I want to do a feature film. These are the people we've got involved. And it's just grown from there. And the more research I looked into it, the more that I knew that this story had to be told. And it's kind of a cheesy thing, because it does almost feel like, all the stars aligned and it kind of, has worked out. But it really has. And as a hobbyist, I feel like it was always meant to be, kind of. Yeah. And that's kind of where it's come from.
It's an unusual subject in some ways, because okay, if you're in the hobby, you kind of get to know a certain amount about it, but what's the phrase? It's fairly niche, isn't it?
Yes.
In some ways, I was thinking it's an unusual subject for a documentary. It's like, well, okay, so where's your market? And is it a case of your market is just to guys already in the hobby, or is it more of a case of trying to explain this hobby to a wider audience?
So I have to go back to the whole, So once I decided, one of the things that I did see, and it kind of frustrated me at the time, and it always has, because I've always been a hobbyist, is how there has always been this stigma on the industry, and especially recently when I've got into it a lot more, and even before the documentary, when I got into bolt action more and I was going to tournaments and stuff, and, you know, people were very judgmental still of, you know, the hobby. People, you know, I'm talking about outsiders of, you know, oh, what you pay with toy soldiers and blah, blah. And that was
we're all very strange people.
Yeah, exactly. And that was one of the big kind of instigators to why I wanted to produce a documentary, because and one of my main goals with the documentary is to in some way remove the stigma that is on the industry, and to highlight that it doesn't matter who you are, it's just a hobby at the end of the day, and it's a very amazing hobby that is full of everyone and anyone from every sort of country, religion, job, ethnicity. It doesn't matter. If you kind of get the bug, you get the bug, and it is just a hobby. And that was the one thing that, and what I am trying to do is trying to remove that so the so-called general public and people outside can watch it and realise and say, oh, that's nothing what I thought it was. You know, it's not this weird, unsociable thing where, and, you know, I always go back to the term of, you know, sweaty fat man that's in his mother's basement kind of thing, because people still have that stigma on it, as much as we try, you know, people try to change it. So for me, that was one of the big kind of lit a fire in my belly to make the film. And one of the main goals is, as a filmmaker and as for my career also, I knew it had to be a feature. And I wouldn't have got into producing the film to start off with if it wasn't going to be hitting a wide audience. And that's why my goal has always been to produce a feature film that I can take to film festivals around the world. I'm not targeting gamers, I'm targeting the world. And if you're into documentaries, if you're into history, if you're into, you know, just films, if you anything, I'm trying to hit people. And mainly what I'm trying to do is show the general public, and even if I can, you know, even if one or two people watch the documentary that have never heard about the industry and it changes their perception of it, that's kind of my goal. And that's what I want to do. So I'm not just targeting gamers and people already in the industry. I am to a certain degree where, you know, showing the history and how miniatures are made, because I know people will be interested in that. But what kind of, for me, what I'm, I guess, getting out of it is trying to help the industry by shining a light on it and saying, you know what, this is an amazing industry. Come and have a look and don't judge it.
Yeah.
There's a bit of an interesting issue there, because, okay, it's not fat blokes in their mother's basements, but if you wander around Salute, it is a bit white middle-aged blokes. I'm curious to see how much of that perception you can shift, given it's a bit visible inside some shows.
Yeah, and obviously there is some part of the stigma, but from what I have seen and the tournaments that I've been to, it's not always like that. So I guess that's what I'm trying to change, is the fact that yes, there could be a stigma, but all I can do is show it in the best light and hope people, you know, it changes some people's perception.
You got to the point of getting the idea, got some funding, got several contacts. So how did the project move on from there?
So once I'd made a few contacts, it was speaking to a lot of people that have got a lot more experience than I have in the industry and have got years and years and years of knowledge, and tapping them up for, you know, this is what I'm doing. Can you help? And for the film especially, that I would like everyone to be aware, everyone that's worked on the film is a voluntary professional. So it's people that have worked in the industry for years and years. And, you know, we've got people that have worked, one of our editors he's 55 and he's worked on huge Hollywood films, and he's actually retired. And the reason that he got on board is because he thought it was a nice little project and he's bored of not doing anything.
Oh, cool.
So, you know, we've got from that scale to students that have left film school last year. So we've got a wide array of different people, but it's a very, very experienced team. One of our producers has just taken his last film last year to film festivals, and they've done very well. They won 24 awards. So I'm very, very lucky that the fact that I know and have known for a long time people in the industry that I can rely on and speak to, and have also got involved with the film. So that was kind of my first step after I knew, okay, we're going to take this seriously. So I got the team together and I sat down and we went through and we wrote out a kind of script. Even though it's a documentary, it was still obviously telling stories, and we highlighted the key things. At this point, we actually reached out to a few different people, a few people we didn't hear back from, and one person that was very, very helpful was Henry Hyde. And Henry got on board, and we had a Skype call, and I said to Henry, look, well, obviously one of the key parts that we want to cover is the history side. And I do have a knowledge of the industry, but not to the extent that Henry does, especially...
I was going to say, you're talking to the white bloke there.
Yes, yeah, especially after, he wrote the War Games Compendium and, spending 4 years of himself researching everything. It was kind of work, and he's been hugely influential on the film. He really has, and his knowledge has really, really helped on the history side, because we read books and, we did our own research into the history, but there's so much, it's always hard to try to find kind of the key points that people either don't know or it needs to be in the film. So that's kind of how he got on board. So the history side was always one thing we wanted to cover. One kind of issue that I found was, how can we need to tell stories. We can't just tell, I didn't want to just tell, this is the history. This is just, this is the industry and this is the history and this is how miniatures are made. Because that's just not the way I tell stories. And I didn't want it to be, and this was one of the other things of, I want to, I guess, put life into what you see on screen, and not what I have seen is kind of the standard, very, very slow pace. This is a miniature. This is how it's put together. And that's kind of the furthest away from what I've spent the last 10 years doing. So I didn't want to go back to that. So it was really, we've kind of taken the whole industry and tried to flip it on its head and tried to tell it in a more modern and upbeat way that's still correct, but it's just looking at it from a different angle. So that's kind of what I always had in the back of my head when we were writing the script of, okay, we've got to tell the history and we've got to tell how miniatures are made, because, that's interesting to me and I want to know that anyway. So if I want to know that, I'm sure lots of other people would like to know that. But I was very, very cautious I didn't want it to be kind of like what you would see on the History Channel or something like that, kind of a very structured, or even how it's made, kind of, I know the Perrys did something with them recently, and I did watch it and I thought, if you took that, I want to do the opposite. So I don't want it to be a structured thing where it is, you can just tell, they can put a structure to it. I want it to be its own thing and have it be shown in a more positive and not positive, I guess, a more up-to-date way. So one thing that I knew that I really, really needed, and it took a long time to find, was I needed to find relatable characters, because it's all well and good having interviews and having the history and showing the manufacturing side. And up to this point, obviously, we had the Perrys involved, and having the Perrys involved really, really helped for us, because it kind of, people started taking the project a bit more serious, instead of it just being, we're down the local club, interviewing a few people. And kind of when we got them involved, we started, and we did, and I spoke to Henry and I said, okay, what are the key stories that we should be telling? And I said to him very, very early on, and he really backed me up and really, really governed the fact that I don't want to just tell the stories of the big companies. I also want to tell and show the other people that have always been there, and without those people, it still wouldn't make up the industry. So we were, and what we've done in the film is we're not just showing, obviously, we have Warlord and Mantic and, the bigger companies, but we also wanted to show the smaller independent side. And this is kind of how the stories came out. And even when we went to Kickstarter, originally back in November.
Yes, it was November last year.
We still didn't have those stories. One story that we did have was the gaming side, because I knew I wanted to show the hobby side, but I didn't want to show it in a kind of mundane, because at the end of the day, no one wants to see two people stood rolling dice for an hour. We're not showing a battle report. We want to show what the industry is and who makes up the industry. So we actually got two guys that are tournament players, basically, and I knew, okay, well, if we follow their story, we have a kind of story arc we can follow. Yeah. We know what they're building towards, and it was going to, at the time, it was BritCon, and they were two rookie gamers. They'd only ever been to one tournament before in their life, and they were going to BritCon, and obviously it was the largest UK gaming event, so it was a good one. So we kind of followed that process of them going there. Unfortunately, I wasn't there filming when the actual weekend was there, and a lot of the footage is very, very unusable, so we've had to reshoot that. But we shot that before we went to Kickstarter. We shot summer last year, I believe, or the year before, I don't know, long time ago. But yeah, we've had to reshoot that. But obviously they'd got very, very heavily into the tournament scene after that, so they were no longer rookie gamers. So we've had to look at a new way, and we've actually shot that, and we showed they went and competed over in Norway at a tournament in Norway. So, and that was really, really nice actually, that it did happen, because we can show the fact that it's more of a global thing, and people will travel across the world, because at the tournament, it was people from not only Norway but Sweden, Germany, England, Wales. So it was really, really nice to have kind of a mix of different cultures that have flown, across the world to go and compete. So that was really nice to get that on film. But we were still looking, going back to the point, we were still looking for characters really to kind of sum up the industry. And even after the Kickstarter, and actually when we were looking into smaller companies, Chris Nichols actually reached out to us from Macrocosm Miniatures, and he backed the original Kickstarter. And he said, really, really, great idea. If you would be interested, I've got a miniatures company. If you want to show the small independents, you can come and film some of our miniatures. And he sent me some of the stuff, and we actually had a Skype call. And after about an hour Skype call with Chris, and he told me his story, and he told me who he'd worked for and where he'd gone, and the fact that he'd only started Macrocosm about 11 months ago, and there was just something about the call. So I ended up going up and meeting Chris, and just his situation and his kind of his past and where he's trying to go kind of really added to me. And I thought this one guy kind of sums up what we're trying to do. Sums up the, kind of the industry. The fact that, he's a lovely guy, one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. And he was telling me through this thing of, I'm looking to make a board game. I'm trying to make a gateway game into my universe. And that was one thing, because throughout the history, we were looking at ways that we can introduce, obviously, computer games with the likes of Dawn of War and stuff like that have kind of come out of miniature gaming. And board games have obviously been a huge part of this industry. So, and as soon as he kind of said that, I thought we could document him putting together this gateway game. And he released it at UK Games Expo. So, kind of we have another journey. We can follow not only the miniature side, but we can get kind of the board game side and what goes into putting something together on an independent scale as well, because we'd already got obviously miniatures being made, that sort of side, but we didn't have kind of a whole project that was, and at the time he hadn't done anything for it really. So we really got on board with him. And then I thought we were set, to be honest. I thought we were set with the stories. And when we were away filming, I met a guy called Andy Bryant.
Right.
And Andy Bryant, I believe you've now met from Small Terrain. And I sat down, we were having a chat, and his story just blew me away. And I just thought, this guy sums up so much of the industry and how it doesn't matter who you are. You know, this is an ex-military guy, served in Kosovo, seen some atrocious things, been through some of the worst things anyone could go through. And this guy found kind of salvation and hope in painting miniatures. And I thought, this is an incredible story that needs telling. So that's kind of how Andy got on board. And then we had those three things in place. We stepped back and we looked at it and we thought, we have something here. We have something truly kind of incredible. And once we had all those things lined up, we'd obviously gone to Kickstarter and we'd raised, and we'd been very, very successful with what we originally asked for. And without the original Kickstarter, we wouldn't have even got to where we are now. It's as simple as that. We probably would have produced something, but nowhere near to the standard that we're now aiming for. Yeah. And yeah, that's kind of how it happened. And we did sit down and we spent probably about a month really writing and rewriting the script and trying to find how we could get all these things to connect. And then we went off, and in February we started shooting. And up till about 4 weeks ago, we've shot every single week. Some weeks, I think there was a period where every day for 12 weeks we were filming. So it's been a huge task, and we wouldn't have got to the point without the original Kickstarter money, and without the support of obviously the community and the companies and individuals that have helped us get to the point where we are. And that kind of leads us up to where we are now. Yeah.
So just to go through where we come on. So you're saying, if you were looking at originally filming these guys in a tournament last year, I mean, how long has this project actually been going on for up until this point?
It has been up to this point, I wouldn't be able to tell you, 18 months.
18 months.
Yeah, I would say, yeah. Okay. Since the initial idea, probably 2 years, just under 2 years, I would say, when I first got approached. Where I sat down and kind of took it over, yeah, about 18 months.
Cool. And so you've been filming for 12 weeks or so, as far as principal photography and everything is concerned. So about how much raw footage have you picked up on that time?
Well, that was a 12-week stint where we filmed every day. We've literally filmed from the beginning, I think it was the 2nd of February, right, to 4 weeks ago. And even actually, when we were over in Ireland on Wednesday, the Beast of War guys, I filmed there. And I got a couple interviews with the guys down there. So yeah, there's still a bit of filming to do. We filmed about 90% of it. We basically we need to do reshoots, but they are kind of known reshoots. We deliberately haven't filmed stuff because until we get into the editing suite, and we can then kind of, if we need to find connections, we can use those last few interviews to do that. Yeah. So that's kind of where we are at the moment. So, but yeah, most of it has been filmed, and we've probably got, well, I can tell you we've got 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We've got 11 terabytes of data. So
just a little bit then.
Yeah. So we've probably got about, I would say, between 150 to 200 hours, I would say, of footage.
Crikey, so that's a heck of an editing job.
Yeah. We've been in post-production, for about, well, it was meant to be 6 weeks, but realistically about 4 weeks, right. Where we've just been watching everything through and doing a paper edit, and that's where we are at the moment. That's what I've spent all day doing today, since 9 o'clock this morning till literally before we got onto this call. So, and the paper edits, basically, for people who don't know, is we go through all the footage and we put timestamps on everything that is kind of key information that we think we'll use in the film. And it just makes it easier. We'll put what hard drive it's on, what file it is, what the name is, what time in between, and what they roughly talk about. So that takes a long time. We'll probably be doing that for about another 10 weeks. Bit under, actually, probably about 8 weeks.
So you've got a Kickstarter?
Yes, we have a Kickstarter.
I note. I should be pleased for you. You're already halfway there.
Yes.
So, what exactly? I mean, just for the benefit of those of our listeners who aren't going to go and read through it all in the first go, what's your aim with the funds this time out?
Okay,
yeah, and also there was a question which I was actually asked to ask you, which is, so you've been to Kickstarter once. How come you're back again?
Okay, the simple answer is we need more money.
Right, fair enough.
Oh, fair. Can't deny the man's honesty.
The truth of the matter is, back in November, we knew that we had something. We didn't know how big it was. And originally, like I said, we didn't even have two of the main characters, or subjects. I shouldn't call them characters because they're not. They're real people that go through, But yeah, we didn't have those subjects on board on the film. And we didn't realise, well, I didn't realise, and I guess it was an oversight for me, how important when we did find them, their role would be in the film, and how much actual time and cost it would take to film that. The other big cost, obviously, was we thought we'd already filmed the whole tournament side, so we weren't asking for funds for that.
Yeah.
But obviously we had to reshoot all of that. So that's what that came down to. And actually up to the point now, we've managed to get everything in to that still the £5,000 that we did raise. And
which is pretty impressive considering it's the film industry.
Yes. And especially for... because it's not like we've just been filming in the UK. We've been to the States, we've been to Canada, we've now been to Norway, and obviously we've been to Wales and Nottingham about 10 times, London.
That's hardly surprising, really, is it?
So it's been... I actually think if people were to sit down and kind of see how much we have got out of the budget, they would be shocked. And it is because, we've had so much great support where people have put us up for the night, and, we've saved on travel costs and things like that. So the community really has helped, and meeting so many amazing people, they, have been so open and willing to help, has been a huge benefit to not only the costs, but the film. So yeah, that's why we've gone back to Kickstarter, and actually, if we're being 100% honest, we can, and I've said this from the start, we can produce a film on budget, on time.
Yeah.
The reality is, I haven't spent over a year of my life working on this to produce something that is kind of cutting corners on the last stretch. So, and it was just kind of that thing. And I sat down and we did a big budget meeting, and we thought, okay, well, what can we produce? Can we finish this film? And the answer was yes, but can we produce it to the high standard we want to? And it was no. And, we all decided that let's go back to Kickstarter as long as we tell our backers and people in advance. And we did, and we sent out emails, and we said to people that, if you've got, we're not 100% going to Kickstarter, but we need more money to finish the film we want to. So if you've got any suggestions, let us know. And we did look at other things. We even looked at, because we've got so much information and so much data, we even looked at making it into a series and going to TV stations and pitching it to them. And that got thrown out because, I wanted it to be a feature film that we could take around the world, because for me, that is where the best market is. TV is, you're giving away basically 80% of the rights to your film. And I was not willing to do that. It's as simple as that. And we also looked at private investment, and we had people approach us about private investment, and they always broke down because people wanted something more than we were willing to give them. And so, that's why, and crowdfunding came up, and, I put it out there and asked, we obviously got a few negative responses, and I completely understand that, and we all did, because, I've backed Kickstarters before and other people have, and you think, why are you asking for more money, especially when you've got more than you originally asked for? We just, at the end of the day, we just have to be honest with people and just say, look, this is why, and we can produce a film, but what do you want? Do you want a good film or a great film? And, what we said to all of our backers is, if you can help, that would be amazing. But even if this isn't successful, you're still going to get a film, and you're still going to get it on time when we said. But would you like a better film? It's as simple as that, because actually, at the end of the day, us going back to Kickstarter, everyone's kind of going to win because we're going to produce a better film. So yeah, that's why we've gone back, and that's why we're doing a second Kickstarter.
Yeah, and of course some of the stuff you're after is actually fairly expensive, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. So what this new budget is for? Obviously, we spent the old budget for things like color grading and stuff like that on shooting the new stuff. And actually, one of the studios we were going to use, because colour grading we have to pay people to do, is we looked at doing voluntary stuff.
Can you explain to the uninitiated what colour grading is, please?
Okay, so colour...
Please excuse me while I whimper in a corner.
Okay.
I have a fan-produced DVD of music that I'm currently about to try and do colour grading for, and I'm just going to sit and whimper here for a bit, okay?
Yeah, that's fine. So I guess the easiest way to explain color grading is, what you see on YouTube looks very, very amateur.
Yes.
Well, color grading makes that look amateur, makes it look like a film. It's as simple as that.
Right.
Color grading, there's many reasons you color grade. One of them is if you're shooting on separate cameras, separate locations, shots will look different. And by color grading, you can get the whole film to flow together and look consistent. The other thing is to bring up vibrance, to bring color in, out. You can also add depending on the scene that you want to, if you want to add more drama, romance, all those sort of things. It gives it the so-called and outside industry, the film look.
Yes.
And it's as simple as that. The reason a film looks completely different to what you would see online or on YouTube or, even a lot of TV shows is because it's been color graded.
Right. Okay. Thank you. But that's not a cheap thing to do, is it?
No. That is hugely expensive. And that really can cost anything between £5,000 to a few million, depending on the studio you go to and how many scenes. Because what people need to be aware is every single shot in your film has to be graded. So that is, you're paying somebody to go into every single scene and grade them. And that takes a long time. So yeah, that's one of the things that we looked at, and we're looking to raise money to get the film professionally graded. And the other huge expense is actually licensing costs. So one of the things that will really kind of make the documentary in our eyes is to get licensed material. So this is basically, if we're doing an interview, we obviously, let's take the war on Kosovo. It's a prime example. We obviously weren't there in 1999 to film the war on Kosovo, so we need to get B-roll that is basically footage to go with what they're talking about.
Yes.
But we don't own any of that footage, and because obviously it's a feature film, we can't just go onto YouTube and download it and put it in our film and just hope we don't get sued. We've got to get the licenses, and this all comes down to kind of, when you're putting a film together, it's got to be registered by the British Film Institute, so they basically watch everything through, and then you have to prove to them you've got the license for everything in the film. So yeah, we have to get the license, but that costs money, so we have to go to, obviously, news outlets, people that own the rights to this footage, and we have to basically buy it off them. We have to, buy the rights to use it in our film. And depending on the clip, actually one of the guys that is working on the film, the last documentary, he put together a 30-second clip, cost him $2,500.
Right.
So, and that's for 30 seconds of footage. So it can be hugely expensive. And yeah, the sort of stuff that we're looking for is like, news footage, things from back to kind of tell the story of the history of wargaming. And that doesn't just come down to footage, it also comes down to photos that we want to include, and licenses to book covers and all that sort of stuff that you have to pay to get. We're very, very lucky that we've actually been in talks for almost a year now. It was one of the first people we reached out to, and that was H.G. Wells' family, because I knew anyway that H.G. Wells was so influential in the history of, especially the British side of the industry. I knew I would want photos and I would want to be able to show the book. So I had to reach out to them and get their permission. And there's certain things we can't use. We can't film pages inside the book. We can't take any quotes from outside the book because that's a different copyright issue that then we have to then, buy the rights off the publishers that actually own the books now. So there's all these things that are going in the background that we have to obviously get licenses for. So that's another huge cost. And then there's other things. Obviously, we've still got a little bit of filming, so we've got to pay for travel, we've got to pay for wages, all that sort of stuff, because we've actually had to hire our full-time member of staff now. It's Alice, and she does all of the paperwork now because the film has become, we got to a point where everyone's working on it voluntary, and we had editors and sound technicians and all that sort of replying to emails, and we can't ask people to. Well, I can't ask people to do that, and they weren't happy doing it. It's as simple as that, because they're doing it to help, and they want to do what their specific field is. So we've had to employ somebody full time to do that side, and that's who is now at the moment actually running the Kickstarter, so we can get on and finish making the film. So yeah, there's that, but obviously that's an expense that at the moment we are covering, but to get it to a point we want to, we have to pay that. And the final thing, and the most important for me anyway, is after it's all said and done, is the film festivals. We have to pay for submissions to film festivals and to get to festivals to show the film off to people. And that can range, just for people need to be aware, when you submit a film, a lot of the bigger film festivals you have to pay for, because you're basically paying a fee because they pay somebody to sit and watch your film and decide, is it going to come to our festival or not? So that's basically right. But that can range from $20 to $200, $250 per submission. And we're looking to submit it into between 30 and 40 festivals. So obviously...
So the film festival circuit is actually quite huge. Is actually quite a big circuit then, yeah?
Oh, it's absolutely huge. That is when, for example, if we got into Sundance or Cannes or South by Southwest, that can make the film.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah.
And that, one of the big reasons why we're putting into film festivals is because that's where studios will go. So if the film's going to get picked up, for example, like Netflix, they will send representatives to those things and they could possibly pick it up. So that's kind of what we're doing. And a lot of these places, you can't just send it to their studios and be like, watch this, because they probably get millions a day. And film festivals is... You're putting it there, they also get the general public to watch it. So not only you're putting it in front of the studios, you're putting it in front of the general public that would never have maybe gone and seen the film, but they're going to see it because they're at that event. So, that's the other big cost and kind of the end goal for us.
Now, as far as advantages of the Kickstarter is concerned, I mean, I know we had a conversation when we originally met up with each other at Salute, and you were talking to me about some of the issues surrounding things like when you could show films once it's on the festival circuit, and also the fact of the advantages therefore of running a Kickstarter where you were offering a copy of the film. Can you just kind of explain that again, please?
Yeah, that's fine. So basically with festivals, they have certain criteria that you've got to match. So let's take Sundance, because we've actually been in negotiations with them. We basically approached them and said, look, we want to submit into your festival, but we've run a Kickstarter. And one of their submission brief is you're not allowed to submit your film if it's been shown anywhere. It's got to be a world premiere. It's got to be the first time. That's just to submit it. And it's not just them. We've been in talks with other people and said, look, we've run a Kickstarter back last year. Can we send it to those original backers? Because without them, we wouldn't have made the film, but then still be able to apply to you. And some we can't. They've just said no. So we won't be able to submit it to those festivals. But others, like Sundance, have been amazing and said, as long as you only submit it to them, and there's certain criteria we've got to match where it comes to making sure that people don't illegally stream it and download it, and we've got to, because there's companies out there that actually monitor all of this. So as long as we get that side covered, so we make sure it doesn't get kind of picked up and leaked by one of, I'm not saying the backers will, but you never know.
Yeah.
So we've got to, and they've said as long as you do that, yes, you can send it out. So we can send it out to the 262. I think that was how many backers we had. So we can send them theirs by the end of this year. We're still currently on date to hit that schedule date.
Cool.
But us running a new Kickstarter, we can't send it out. So actually we're having to send it out in 2 waves. So the original backers will be the first people to see the film. And they will get their copies before it goes to film festivals. But then the next wave, because of the issues with submitting to film festivals, and you've got to basically, for us, we've got to take it to film festivals, show it there first, and then we can send it out to backers. But
yeah, sure.
We don't know what's going to happen to the film. And this was the other thing about running another Kickstarter. And what was a big pro for us running another Kickstarter is we can give people the opportunity to actually get a physical copy of the film and to get a digital download of the film. Because we don't know what's going to happen with it. We could get somebody pick it up, and let's say Netflix, for example. It would be absolutely amazing if they did. But obviously, if they pick it up and they make it a Netflix exclusive, then you can only watch it if you have a Netflix account. So we wanted to give...
And of course, there's no guarantee that they're not going to sit in it for 6 months.
Exactly.
Or whatever,
we don't know. And obviously, there are negotiations that we'll have to come to when it comes down to pass. And, one of the main things for me is we're not doing this to make money. We're doing this to get it out to as many people as possible. So if we can do that, Netflix will obviously be an amazing thing. But if they turn around and say, we're not going to put this out for 2-3 years, then, maybe that's not going to be the right company. But anyway, that's one of the main reasons why we can give people the opportunity. We can say, you will get it here because, and you'll get a physical copy of it or a download. You will definitely be able to see the film. And that's why obviously crowdfunding was such a important thing for me to go back to, because it gives people that opportunity to get the film.
Cool. I think that's kind of covered it in a succinct nutshell.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so as you say, we're 4 days into the Kickstarter, 50% funded.
Yep.
But as I say, it sounds like so the Kickstarter runs to the 7th of August, isn't it?
Yes, it does.
Yeah. There are a whole different there's loads of different pleasure levels included in that, from digital downloads, DVDs, Blu-rays, even to coming to the premiere party.
Yes. It certainly is.
So you're planning a premiere then?
Yes. So one of the things that I wanted to do as a thank you and to give back to the companies involved and people that have really helped, and without them we wouldn't be able to make the film. We're going to put on the premiere of the film, and it will be in the UK, probably in the Nottingham area, because most of the companies are from there. Mm-hmm. And we will be inviting all the companies, not only the companies, people that have obviously helped with the film, and be showing it there. So yeah, it will be on the big screen where people can come along, watch it, and then there'll be a bit of an after party and stuff like that. So yes, that's kind of what I wanted to do, to give back and give people the opportunity to kind of get together and also, watch the film. Okay, so
let's move back to the matter in hand of being a Kickstarter. That is, as we've already said, it started running last week. It's running to the 7th of August. There are several different pledge levels available. A few new things that have cropped up since the initial project back in November. Can you tell us, just to expand a little bit more on those, please, for me?
Yeah, that's fine. So obviously you've got the pledge levels of digital download, Blu-ray, DVD, but then also you've got the special edition, and this has changed somewhat from the original one. So this time it comes in a tin. You get both the Blu-ray and DVD, but it comes with 5 exclusive miniatures. And these miniatures are from different companies. So we've got a Celt Chieftain from Warlord Games. We've got a Wild West Exodus model that is Dark Council member. That's correct.
I'm very, very close to pledging at that level just for that figure.
Yes,
it's very nice.
Yes, she is lovely. And then we've got the Grandmaster Dwarf that's from Macrocosm Miniatures, and then we have, unfortunately, not yet, we don't have the painted version of the Roman General, but they are with our painter now, so they'll be up very, very soon. The gorgeous, it's a beautiful model. And then the final one that is I think
that one's footsore, isn't it? Which is
yes.
probably
Yes,
why it's a beautiful model.
Oh, yes.
Yes, it is. Sorry. Yeah, it's Footsore Miniatures. Absolutely lovely.
Goes without saying.
Yes. And then the final one is actually one that we had commissioned and is a H.G. Wells model. And because, like I said beforehand, we've had dealings with the family, one of the things that I approached them and said is, could we get a miniature of H.G. Wells made as long as it was done, was limited, and they were perfectly happy as long as, you could only get it through the campaign. So that was the one thing, and it's actually been sculpted by Alan Perry, so you're going to get an amazing model when it's sculpted by Alan Perry. And it's beautiful. It really is. But like I said,
it's quite stunning, and somebody's done a lovely paint job for you on that.
Yes.
That is beautiful.
So that all comes in the special edition. So obviously, if you like your minis and you want your exclusive things, you can only get them through the new campaign. So that's obviously a thing that I would like people to be aware of. And it is limited. It's limited to 300 units, and once they're gone, they're gone. We won't be producing any more. So obviously, it's done on a first come first serve basis. And then we've obviously got a few other things. We've got the hangout that is. You basically get the previous reward, so that is the special edition, but then also you get a Google Hangout where you can speak to myself and some of the other crew members, and we're hopefully going to get some other people from the industry, some of the well-known people involved, and just to have a chat, and people can just, kind of like this, and it's very, just you can talk about the film, get to know some behind-the-scenes stuff, and I think that's nice that you can just spend an hour and just talk and just talk about whatever you want. And then there's obviously the premiere that we've covered.
Yes. Cool. So lots and lots of stuff on offer. And let's say, if nothing else, yes, that special edition is, rather tasty, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm vacillating. Oh, you're over 6,000, by the way.
Oh, yes, 60%. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Huge thank you to everyone that's backed.
Yes, a round number of 150 backers.
Wow. Yeah, especially in the time. It's been overwhelming, the support that we've had, and obviously, in 4 days to raise that amount of money is just amazing. So just want to say a huge thank you to everyone that has supported us. And let's, hope we can get to our goal, and if we raise any more, we have decided that there's going to be some stretch goals in there, so we can unlock some of them along the way as well.
But basically, if you're listening to this and you haven't pledged, it's a very worthwhile cause.
Oh, very much so. Very much so.
I mean, the idea of actually seeing a documentary about wargaming that isn't ho ho, look at the funny people playing with the toy soldiers is bliss as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and I guess the other thing is the people that haven't gone to the Kickstarter, we do have the first trailer up, so you can go and you can watch the trailer and you can get a feel for what the film's going to be about. And I think a lot of people, because people have been, and I know because people have said they've been a bit, well, how are you going to tell the story? And even up to the point of the release of the new Kickstarter. But then I think people have seen, and I know because we've received literally hundreds of emails from people saying that they've watched the trailer and they're blown away by it.
It's very impressive. So watched it just after it came up, and it was like, oh, that looks a bit good.
Yeah. So, and I think it gives people a taste of exactly what, and it shows that we are taking it at a different angle. And yeah, like I said, so far it's been, the feedback has been positive. So that gives myself and, the team that have worked on it, because that took a while to put the trailer together. And Rob, one of the guys working on the film, he spent about 4 days kind of trying to find, and I think that was the 5th version that we got to, because each one just didn't tell exactly what we wanted to show, wasn't, so yeah, and I just, it's nice to see that people have appreciated it, and hopefully, it will give them a taste of what the final film will be.
And you've got yourself a Kickstarter Project We Love badge. Well done.
Yes. Oh,
cool.
Yes. Like I said, we've it's been incredible. The original campaign was amazing because obviously we got to where we are, but everything has really got, and it has grown. The whole project has grown, and the support from the community and everyone. And obviously Kickstarter have now, they have been, got quite a few emails from them and now we are a project we love. So that's, it's really, really nice to see that all the hard work is slowly paying off.
So you kind of told us exactly where you come from and what you're doing at the moment. What's the timetable moving forward then?
So the timetable moving forward is to, realistically, the film's got to be done by the latest, the very, very, very latest, the end of September.
Right.
We are aiming, and we are about 6 weeks over date because originally the deadline was June. We'd obviously put our own deadline in because of film festivals, and to submit to film festivals, it's between the end of June and the end of September. Mm-hmm. And obviously, the earlier you submit it, the cheaper it is to submit. But yeah, our realistic goal is the end of August to have it all said and done and all finished. So a huge amount of work, and it's quite frankly, we are working. Well, I am myself anyway, working 14, 16 hours a day at the moment to get the film finished. So, and that's why obviously having Alice on board has been a huge help because it gives everyone else time to get the film done. So we're just working on the paper edit, should be done in, well, hopefully we've got somebody else coming in to help with the paper edit. I would say 10 weeks. But right. We don't really have that much time. And actually, once we get the paper edit together, it should come together quite quickly. But obviously, I see the deadline very, very close. But I think the turnaround of the edit, once we get a rough edit together, once we've done the paper edit, the rough edit should probably come together in, I would say, 4 or 5 days. And then we will send that off. I'm sending it over to LA and actually New York. And 2 of the guys that are helping produce the film, they're going to watch it through and basically tell amendments. And then we'll get those amendments back. We'll make those changes and then we'll show it. We'll do a test screening. So we'll show it to people that have no connection to the film whatsoever. So it will be a kind of random audience of about 30 people. They'll watch it. They'll basically review it. And we will do a Q&A with them and we'll give them basically a list of stuff of what was good, what was bad, what did you change. And then off that, we'll do the final edit. We'll edit it up. And then in between all this time, we will be sending it off to the composer so he can start writing all the music for it because we're having all the music written for it. And he's been obviously chomping at the bit because he was meant to have it about a month ago. But yeah, so he'll receive it and start writing all the music, and we're starting to already send him scenes of stuff so he can start working on kind of themes for characters and stuff like that. So yeah, that's where we are. And then once that's together, we'll in the final edit we'll put the music together. We'll do that, and then we'll send it off to be graded. The good thing with film festivals, as long as you get it to a certain standard, you can submit it. Right. So you don't have to have the film fully finished, like 100%. You can have it, even if the grading's not done, you can basically send them a small clip of scenes of how the film graded along with the kind of the film. And then,
so the submission process will be like, okay, right, you're watching it. This isn't the final print.
Yes.
But this is what it will look like. And you can say yes or no depending on that.
Yeah, because a lot of the festivals, obviously, the first festival we're looking for is the 24th of January. So it then gives us that leeway between, obviously, the end of August to make sure we have a fully finished film that is done. So it's just getting to that point where we can submit it is kind of key. But what would be amazing if we could, obviously submit the whole fully finished film that people could see exactly what it is. But we have that buffer if it's not fully finished to that. And then it will be getting it, it will be getting out by December to backers, the original backers, so they can they have the film before it goes to any film festivals. So, yeah, that's where we are at the moment.
We talk about a feature. Any ideas, even at this stage, roughly what sort of time length are you looking at?
We're looking at 90 minutes. Right. that comes down to many, many different reasons. One of them is printing, so DVD and information. You can only roughly get about 2 hours of good, high-quality information on DVD, and we don't want to be sending out more than one disc, because obviously that increases all the costs.
Mm-hmm. Which, of course, leads to the question, are there going to be extras on the DVD?
Well, yes, that is one of the things that the original Kickstarter they unlocked, and that is another documentary. It's a 20-minute documentary about the making of the film, and that is being done not by me. That's being done by somebody else that has been working on it. Actually, Matt, that I mentioned earlier, that has been his project, and he's been working on that ever since. And he's given me a little camera, so as I've been traveling around and going across the world, we've been kind of documenting bits as we go and filming things. And so, yeah, the behind the scenes little documentary should be really, really good. So that's what he's working on now.
It's probably not the best time to ask this, but have you enjoyed it?
I have enjoyed it, yeah, massively. Like I said, video's always been enjoyable for me. Obviously, there has been huge bumps in the road and things that I can't talk about, and companies that didn't want to be involved, or issues along the way with people, or even stuff that, because we're filming people and it is people's real lives, sometimes it can get heated and sometimes issues can arise. So yeah, there's been the issues along the way, but it's been incredible. And to be honest, for my first ever feature, it's probably one of those things that you shouldn't do. I've probably done everything you shouldn't do for your first feature and take on a project that is absolutely huge and involves hundreds of hours and thousands of kind of miles of traveling, and having 20 or 30 members of the team at some point, and then dealing with a mass amount of companies, because obviously it's people are working every day and it's their day job. So now you're having to fit in with every company, but then you've got a shooting date and you've got deadlines to hit. You've got to kind of find ways of when you can fit people in, and if they can't do it, then but it has been enjoyable. There has been issues, but it's been very, very enjoyable. And there's been points where I want to tear my hair out, but that just comes with the territory. And one of the hardest things that I found personally is, because it is such a personal thing for me, is I know there's gonna be negative feedback. I know that no matter what, you could produce the best film in the world and you're gonna get negative feedback, because it's one of those things, everyone's got their own opinion and you can't always make something that everyone will love. But that's the thing that I found the hardest, is not trying to take everything on board as a personal attack. But yeah, that's the honest answer of those things. And obviously it's come up, and there's bits in the film where I would love to fit in. And, I get it a lot, especially when I'm at events, is, oh, are you going to include this? Do you have this company? Do you have that company? And the fact of the matter is, I would love to have all those things in, but the reality is I can't get them all in. And then, you get people that, because you say, well, unfortunately, we can't fit it in, they aren't very happy with you. But that's the nature of the beast. So, but other than that, it's been very, very enjoyable.
Cool. Would you do it again?
Oh, definitely.
Knowing what you now know, I assume you think you would improve on it. Yes,
definitely. Well, along the background for the last 6 months, there's been another project that I've been involved in. Nowhere near as heavy. I've done 2-day shoot and that's it. But that is kind of setting up for the next project that's after this one.
Which is what I was about to ask. What's next? Apart from putting your feet up for a bit and playing with some toy soldiers?
Yeah, well, that's nice. I definitely once the edit's done and we've sent the rough draft off, I will be taking a week off to relax. At the moment, I would, even when I try to give myself an hour, I end up on my phone and replying to emails. So it's probably not a good thing, but, it's got to get done. So, yeah, that's the next project is already in the works. And there's also some other things that I would like to... I've seen some other stories I would like to tell inside the industry, but I think they will be in a few years. But I wouldn't be surprised, put it this way, I wouldn't be surprised if I don't make another documentary that is still inside the industry at a later point.
Mm-hmm. And as far as your own aspirations are concerned, I mean, we've seen so many feature film directors who start off as documentary directors. Is that something you'd like to do?
I wouldn't say no. So I've worked on structured film, and it's enjoyable, but there's something I think if I do, it will be in a few years. I don't think it will be anytime soon, put it that way, because there's something that I just love about documentaries and it being real. You are documenting real life. It's not staged, and there's something very, very nice about that, because this is a prime example. The stuff that has happened in the film, we could have never scripted for. We could have never, not in our wildest kind of thoughts, could we have thought those things would happen that have actually happened in the film. So, and they're the thing, and they're the moments that, make me appreciate and love making documentary films. So, yeah, I think I'll be doing this for documentaries for a little while, that's for sure.
It's great stuff.
Awesome.
Great stuff. Well, Joe, thank you so much for taking time out of what is obviously a very busy schedule to come and talk to us.
Get some sleep, man.
Sleep? What's that? Yeah.
No, really appreciate you coming along to talk to us. I know it was at somewhat short notice. Thank you. It has been great to talk and find out all about everything about the project. I mean, when we had a chance to chat briefly earlier, I thought, it sounded really, really interesting. And it was like, who is this bloke that's been following me around all day with a camera? Because it was like everywhere I went, you were there. It was like
yeah, we seem to get everywhere at the moment, so.
And as it gets nearer time, you'll have to come back and keep us updated on how things are going.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I'd be more than happy to come back and give you guys an update. And obviously, close to the time, we'll be releasing a bit more for people to see. So yeah, definitely.
Cool,
good stuff. Well, Joe, as I wish you all the very best with not only the Kickstarter but with getting the film completed. I hope everything goes smoothly from here on in. We look forward to chatting again and also to seeing the finished product.
Brilliant. Thank you for your time. It was lovely to speak to you both.
Right, take care, mate.
Awesome.
Cheers.
It doesn't matter who you are. Like I've known doctors, firemen, captains, construction workers, college kids. It doesn't matter what you are in the real world. In this world, you're a general on the battlefield.
It's shaped who I've become and how my life has progressed.
Me and Adam have been wargaming together for a long time now. He looks too cool for wargaming, but he's really not.
I'm Matt Rattenbury. I'm based in Oakhampton in Devon, and I'm a dispensing optician by day and a gamer by night.
What I wanted to do when I was a kid was be a soldier, and I was a soldier and I really enjoyed it.
Military games have a huge history. H.G. Wells, the great science fiction writer who wrote War of the Worlds, of course, that's what he's most famous for. In 1911, he actually wrote a little book called Floor Games. The other really enormous phenomenon as it became from the 1970s is the emergence of Games Workshop.
I think my generation really took wargaming from being a minority hobby to being something that was quite popular.
Working under the mighty Rick Priestley, who was my evil boss.
It's the bit in Gordon Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares where it all goes wrong.
Money is so tight, the budget is so tight in this household. I have to think about my family.
That was the final straw for me. I snapped, and I was on guard duty one day, and I was sitting there, and I just found myself with the barrel of me rifle in my mouth.
And there you have it. So there were only two of us, and we still managed to go on.
May prove it's not the numbers, which is kind of worrying, really.
Yeah, so it boils down to the personnel. So I wonder whose fault it is.
You're my fault.
Yeah, this is it.
Oh boy!
Oops.
Right, so I backed it.
You backed
while
it.
we were conducting the interview.
You backed it.
Yeah,
Cool.
I'm getting the Blu-ray DVD. I'm very, very tempted by the figures, but I've spent far too much on figures recently, and I don't think I can't justify the extra just for 5 very, very nice figures and both formats and a tin box. Much as I'd like to, because I think Joe deserves the support.
You do.
I think it's as I said at the end of the interview. Just the idea that somebody's going to produce a film about miniature wargaming that's actually about the hobby, not about ho look at the weedy weedy blokes, is more power to his elbow. Support this man; he deserves it.
And I'm really pleased with the fact that I backed the first one, so I get to see the film first.
Watching video watching party at my place.
Yeah, sounds a good idea. Yeah, as I say, thanks a lot to Joe for coming on the show. I mean, we arranged that at such short notice. It wasn't true. No, Joe was brilliant. Alice was brilliant. And turning around and going, "Oh yeah, that'd be great," you know. So I think basically we arranged that whole thing in about 48 hours.
It boils down to he's got another hour and a half he wasn't sleeping in.
Indeed. So I think we're about done, aren't we?
Yeah. On a much more successful day for England sports teams.
Let's just step away from that one. Yes, stick a fork in us. I think we're done.
I think we are indeed.
Indeed. So,
something else. I've run out of tea.
Oh, disaster!
In my Salute 2014 D-Day mug. What are we doing next?
Well, whatever we're doing next, you won't be on it.
Oh, yeah. Unless it happens to be that I've got decent Wi-Fi and I can be bothered.
Indeed, but you're on holiday, mate. Yeah.
But we do have some good stuff coming up.
Indeed. All being well, Mr. Whitaker will be back with us in a month's time. Complete with a show report from Historicon.
Oh, miss you guys.
Yeah, you'll be having far too much fun. Don't lie.
Assuming I can get some decent cricket coverage and the wife can get some Wimbledon coverage, we'll be fine. I wonder if Sky Player works across the Atlantic.
An ideal opportunity to find out. There we go.
I've got to test it, haven't we?
Yes. So, all that remains to say is, thank you to Mr. Whitaker for joining me.
You're very welcome.
Finally got top billing.
Get well soon, Hobbsy.
Indeed, mate. Yeah,
migraines suck.
So we look forward to seeing you in time, and have a good break, mate.
I shall.
And once again,
catch the rest of the crew in 2 weeks' time.
In 2 weeks' time, and otherwise in a couple of weeks' time. If you're it's Historicon on the Friday, have a look out for Mr. Whitaker and say hello.
Please do.
Indeed.
Tell me what you think.
Yeah. So up until then, happy gaming, and take care. We'll see you very soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening to the Meeples and Miniatures podcast. If you've enjoyed the show, why not share it with others by leaving us a review on iTunes? And if you have any comments or questions, you can always email the show. The address is info@meeplesandminiatures.co.uk. And you can also visit our webpage, where you'll find a complete episode archive, all the View from the Veranda podcasts, rules reviews, and our blog of hobby items and news, which is updated several times a week. This is also where you'll find the links to our presence on social media, and here you can follow us on Twitter or join our Facebook group. And finally, here you can also find details should you wish to support us by making a donation to the podcast. All this on the Meeples and Miniatures website, www.meeplesandminiatures.co.uk. The Meeples and Miniatures podcast is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives 3.0 Unported license. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.